the Bricked Up 400. It was the Brickyard 400 a couple weeks ago, in case you didn't notice. Kind of a big deal. The Brickyard 400 has been a NASCAR crown jewel for over 25 years. From 1994 to 2020, NASCAR ran the oval at Indy, but then, for some reason, NASCAR decided that they would put one of their crown jewel races on hiatus for 3 years. From 2021 to 2023, NASCAR ran the road race at the Indy Road Course. Historically, NASCAR road races do not draw as much attendance as traditional oval races. The Brickyard 400 historically drew crowds of over 200,000 people. Yes, I know this was back in NASCAR's heyday, but the shift to the road course at Indy saw attendance figures drop significantly. And I can tell you why attendance dropped so dramatically. For example,
2 liters is allowed. Watch it. Well, the 24 is spinning. The 24's there's multiple cars into the wall here.
For example,
We got more cars coming in.
William Byron is reporting that the curb came up. He hit the curb.
for example,
Numerous cars are destroyed. Take a look at what happened to Daniel Suarez's car.
For example,
That curbing that we've seen them work on over and over during this race looked as though it had caught some of the front of the cars, and they're sliding it away. So much damage done. You look at Joey Logano's car, he immediately went straight into that tire barrier.
I think NASCAR had a period where they just enjoyed ruining everything good they had going for them. But then they remembered that they like money, and then they brought this crown jewel race back.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money.
2024, congratulations to Kyle Larson for his fourth race win of the season and his third NASCAR Crown Jewel event win in his career. Larson only led 7 laps of the Brickyard's 167 laps in his number 5 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet. 6 of them coming in the overtime periods. Wait a second. Did NASCAR misspell the Camaro on their website? What a fucking great look for the organization. Anyway, 2024 spoiler alert, Larson is going to win the championship. Quote me right here. I'm calling it. Come back to this video when it happens. I already read the script. I'm not making this up. Yes, I am. Speaking of things that are made up, let's get into my review of the race. Chase Elliott, this fucking dickhead, crossed the pit line and got a blend line infraction. Let's look up what a blend line infraction is. Rule 911 in the NASCAR handbook. Of course it's Rule 911. Why wouldn't it be? Lap or time penalties. Going above the pre-established line when exiting the pits.
We just got a blend line violation. Yeah, I mean, that's not right. 2 officials are saying you went above the white line. They didn't say line. They said racing surface.
Yeah, Trey Poole, you fucking idiot. They didn't say line. They said racing surface.
So you tell me how the I was on the racing surface.
I'll tell you how the fuck you were on the racing surface. Look right here. Look. Sure looks like the racing surface to me, Chase. Denny Hamlin wins stage 2. Boo! Rick Ware Racing does Rick Ware racing things. Damn. I've been drinking. Rick Ware Racing does Rick Ware racing things. But then Bubba Wallace attempts to assassinate Joey Logano with the biggest Hail Mary block of all time.
Big, right along with Joey. Well, it's a good thing he lifted.
I wish he wouldn't have lifted. NASCAR social media would have had a field day with this one. Can you imagine the aneurysm the Bubba haters would have had over this one? Now this is where the fun begins. Allmendinger predicts his future misfortunes.
We're trying to hold off till a caution comes out here before we can pit. Oh, we're going to be the caution.
And Chase Elliott's team has a plan.
As soon as you can get me out of this where I can run by myself, it would be huge. Yeah, we got a plan.
Well, not if SHR has anything to say about it. SHR has a plan, and it's to fucking wreck your team, Chase Elliott. On lap 74, there's a huge wreck exiting turn 2 involving the majority of SHR and running over the computer kid William Byron.
Be the front of your strategy. Oh, man, big wreck.
Oh, and hit again.
Oh, big
that's
impact.
the 24 of William Byron. A.J. Allmendinger in the 16 involved as well.
Now you may be asking, why did I bring up William Byron's computer kid nickname? Well, it's because back in the day, I really just wanted an excuse to brag about how iRacing followed me on TikTok. Pretend this is a good segue. In the wise words of 13-year-old William Byron, I'm better than you. Out of the 22 people that iRacing follows, you might be wondering, Why do they follow me? Why do they follow Grid Banter on TikTok? Well, it's because the iRacing social media intern has recognized my peak sense of humor. I'm basically more important than William Byron, although my dad is not making the big money and I don't go to any sporting event that I want to. Let's take a closer look at who is around William Byron during this crash. Suspiciously, it's most of SHR, of course. The 41 of Priest, the 14 of Chase Briscoe, and the 10 of Noah Gragson.
This will be a great look right here.
Oh, they're hitting each other there. So he's in his right rear quarter panel. You're right. It was just everybody.
You may remember Stuart Haas Racing's performance in my last video in Chicago. Well, their incompetence continues, and this weekend is only putting a nail in the coffin of their final year in business. Let's do a little deeper analysis into SHR before they ride off into the sunset for the second half of the season. First, take a look at all the Cup car numbers. Ryan Preece, 41. Chase Briscoe, 14. Noah Gragson, 10. And Josh Berry, 4. Fucking 69. If you thought SHR was alone in this operation, well, you'd be dead wrong, son. According to totally real and not made-up sources, SHR has joined a deep state alliance with none other than Hendrick Motorsports.
Will totally obliterate the deep state. I will fire.
If we look back only a few years, you'll find proof that these two teams were working together and slowly training their deep state operatives, otherwise known as drivers. In 2020, Kyle Larson still drove the 42 car for Chip Ganassi Racing, and Ryan Preece drove the 37 car for JTG Daughtry Racing. If you do the math, 42 minus 37 equals 5. This is unequivocal proof of the link between these two teams, years before anyone saw it coming. Now you may be asking yourself, how does this relate to the 2024 Brickyard 400? I find myself asking the same thing. But as we know, Brad Keselowski drives the number 6 car. So if you take the number 42 from Kyle Larson and break it down, 4 plus 2 equals 6. They were trying to tell us about this relation all along. That same year, Hendrick Motorsports would pick up Kyle Larson after his iRacing incident.
Can't hear me? Hey, Kyle, you're talking to everyone, bud.
And use this as a distraction to fulfill Larson's prophecy of driving the number 5 car. During Brad Keselowski's final stop, the deep state operatives, otherwise known as the voices in my head, altered the gas can his crew was using, ultimately slowing the fuel flow to the car, shorting Brad on fuel. This is important later. I promise the story gets better. With 30 laps to go, Kyle Larson remembered who the fuck he was. Kyle now had the perfect opportunity to show these trailer park casuals what he learned at the Indy 500 this year, driving his piss missile of an Indy car. Kyle then began his push to the front, but then quickly realized that he needed help from the shadow government organization, otherwise known as NASCAR. This is when Rick Hendrick made the call to Jim France in search of help. With 30 laps to go, Larson, who was in 23rd place, made an unprecedented surge to the front. This meteoric, yes, that is a word, meteoric.
Meteoric.
Rise wasn't just skill, it was a perfectly timed orchestration of corruption, deceit, and perhaps even bribery.
Corruption, deceit, and bribery.
Rumors suggest that HMS government operatives infiltrated the pit crews of key competitors such as RFK and caused strategic errors at just the right moments. Fast forward to lap 158, when former HMS driver and former driver of none other... Cat! Stop scratching the door! Fast forward to lap 158, when former HMS driver and former driver of none other than the 5 car, Kyle fucking Busch, fucks it into the wall and brings out a late race caution.
Now there's going to be more. Let's ride along.
Oh,
Contact with the 11.
Oh, it's been that kind of year.
The vendetta against Brad Keselowski with HMS goes back further than you might think. Back when he was trying to murder Carl Edwards at Talladega, he was in the running for a seat with HMS, and it got to the point where there was a deal that had already been made, but it was mysteriously canceled. Since that moment, Rick Hendrick has made it his personal mission to ruin Brad's career, leaving him stuck in Fords for the rest of his time in NASCAR. Lap 161, Rick Hendrick continues the destruction of Brad. Due to the previously and carefully planned caution, Keselowski no longer had enough fuel to make it to the end of the race, and he runs out of fuel behind the pace car, driven by Rick Hendrick! Now, you may think this is all a coincidence. Wrong! If you take all the previously mentioned driver numbers from the whole operation, SHR 69, Larson 42, 37 Ryan Preece, number 8 Kyle Busch, number 5 Kyle Larson again, this all adds up to 161, the exact lap that Brad Keselowski runs out of fuel coming to the green. We're having fun! Now, lap 161 may have more significance than that. Let's take a look back at everyone's favorite year, 2001. The 161st day of that year was Sunday, June 10th, the day of the Kmart 400 at Michigan International Speedway, where Hendrick was awarded their 100th Cup Series win with Jeff Gordon. Hell yeah, brother. Jeff was driving the 24 car. 2 + 4 = 6. Further foreshadowing what would take place with Brad Keselowski years later. 56 days later, on August 5th, 2001, the Brickyard 400 takes place, 23 years prior to the 2024 Brickyard 400. Now, what's so important about the number 56? Simple. The numbers 5 and 6. The numbers of Kyle Larson and Brad Keselowski. But wait, there's more. 37, Ryan Preece's old number. 37 days later, the Twin Towers fall on September 11th, 2001. Ryan Preece and SHR did 9/11! I am calm. Ryan Preece continued his run of terrorism and murderous ways into the modern day. Learning from his equally murderous mentor, Tony Stewart, on the final restart, Ryan Preece once again plays the SHR Try Not to Fuck It Into the Barrier Challenge Impossible. Exiting turn 2, Preece crashes, but not before returning to the race surface and stopping. Now, you would think with the car stopped on the track there would be a caution, right?
Wrong!
NASCAR once again proved it has no backbone and manufactured a win for Larson, which to be fair, he probably would have won anyway. NASCAR waited until the perfect moment where when the pack reaches the first corner of the final lap, the next flag is thrown and immediately ends the race. Some people say it's the size of the track is why NASCAR race control waited. I say it's weaponized incompetence. The precedent was already set during this race and every other race this season about how quickly NASCAR throws cautions. It was already written into the NASCAR playbooks that I've personally looked at that since Larson's Indy double didn't go to plan, that he had to win the return of the Brickyard 400. If you've been following the numbers, Preece, who caused Kyle Larson to win, drives the car number 41. 4 + 1 = 5. And to tie it all up, Larson only led 6 laps. Brad Keselowski's number. Thanks, NASCAR, says Kyle, admitting to the conspiracy theory in plain sight all over Twitter.
Over, I'm on the top. You gonna win from the top? Give it to Golden Boy. Son of a...
Now, in all seriousness, NASCAR really needed Kyle Larson to win this race. This race was a returning crown jewel, and they needed it to feel like that for the fans. With Larson running the double, I feel like it was a great move for NASCAR to have IndyCar fans have something to relate to. It's a good story. Kyle Larson single-handedly saved the return of the Brickyard 400, and he took the lessons that he learned in IndyCar this year and proved to everyone why he's the best in the sport right now. Also, Jimmy Johnson, for Christ's sake, dude, hang up the helmet. You're ruining your legacy.
Well, I tell you what, fellas, I've been a long-time NASCAR fan, and when I started dating my current woman, I started getting her know-it-all little son into the NASCAR races as a way to bond. We went to Nashville all together, and he loved it. And then we saw this at Indy. He is so pissed at me. Last time he was this pissed at me is when he walked in at me butt his mama.
Jesus Christ!
Thanks, NASCAR. You ruined my life.